She was the Survivor Season 48 secret assassin, and she ended up sadly going out in the infamous fire making challenge. Joining me now is fourth place finisher Kamilla. Good morning, Kamilla. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Okay, so one thing I really loved about you is I feel like we got to see a lot of personal growth throughout the season from start to finish. So, do you feel like there was kind of this newfound confidence in yourself from the season? And also, do you feel like you truly did prove yourself and your family wrong?
Oh, 100%. There is this newfound confidence that is with me still to this day. Used to have mega imposter syndrome at work, and now I'm just like, maybe I might have overconfidence, honestly, but that's better than where I was at before. And oh, yeah, I proved myself, my family, even my friends wrong because my friends thought I was going to get eliminated early too.
And look at you now. So, I am curious. So, obviously, you and Kyle were pretty dominant, but in a very secretive way throughout the season. Did you ever kind of expect to be in this strong duo heading into the game?
No, I never thought I would find a duo because I was expecting to play a bit more of a backstabby, flip floppy, cutthroat game, with a lot of lying involved. And then when this one guy, Kyle, picked up on all the lies I was putting down, I'm like, hey, he wants to play with me, and he can play with me. He's got the brains to play with me. So I never would have expected it. Couldn't imagine a better survivor partner.
Yeah, no, you guys were incredible together. But I am curious to know, did you ever feel unsure about it? Because something that I think, we saw in the fan base saw a lot was obviously you were hypothetically, I guess, or maybe realistically, in the bottom throughout the season with the people and the numbers and such, while Kyle was kind of in the safety zone with this big alliance. So was there ever a moment for you that maybe you were untrusting of what was happening, or did you always kind of trust Kyle throughout?
So I didn't know me and Kyle were actually that close. I thought he just like, played New Vula with me. And then when we got back to the merge, I was like, all right, he's going back to David, but we have our little four with Chrissy. And it wasn't until David started policing us, where he's like, you guys are working together, you and Shaheen are working together, me, Kyle, and Shaheen, we couldn't talk to anyone. He was policing us, and that sort of pushed me and Kyle together. Our sort of mutual frustration with David pushed us together. And at that point he started sharing more information with me, and from then on I was like, we are locked in. Before that, that was David's boy.
David's boy. That's kind of funny. So, something that I thought was kind of profound in the finale was before we see you change your mind, you had this moment where you're like, I feel like I can't separate logic from heart when it comes to Kyle. And then the next morning, we see you be like, just kidding, slept on it. And actually, I think I need to get Kyle out. Why did you struggle with separating the logic from heart for so long? And what changed for you to be like, okay, no, I need to actually get him out for my game?
Yeah. So the separating logic and heart was actually for the final five of vote. I was considering possibly getting rid of Kyle early, because I was like, oh, it's easier if I sit next to Mitch, even. The hardest person to sit next to is Kyle for me, for my game personally. Um, and then I was like, I can't do it because if neither of us are sitting in the final three, I, it sucks. I wanted one of us there because there's a little bit of an ego thing involved where it's like, if Kyle wins, that's kind of a win for me because we played the same game. Maybe I would have won too. So it's a bit to like help me cope. And then yeah, I did tell him the next day, but I don't think he would have changed his decision. He is a smart man. He would not have sit next to me at all.
Yeah, well, that insight is very helpful. So, one thing that was so cool about you and so fun to see was that I think you, more than maybe anyone, shocked yourself by winning not one but two immunity challenges. So, what did that mean to you? And do you feel like that you truly were able to kind of beat out your own expectations?
Oh my god, yes, that the both wins were hard wins. Like they were not there. I had to struggle to get there. You saw me drop those blocks, drop the entire thing with the last piece, dropped that final piece, and it was so hard to just like, I wanted to mourn. There is a flash frame where I look like I cry, but I'm like, no, I just have to keep building. And even with the final five challenge, there have been multiple immunity challenges this season where someone wins and I'm still stuck in the obstacle course, and I thought that was going to happen again. So to be able to push through and win such hard challenges means more than just like, dominating a challenge.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, on that final, what was it, final five, where you're like stuck in the net and then you literally were the one that pulled out the puzzle. So talk about a comeback. I mean, that was pretty
Yeah,
incredible to see.
yeah.
Also, with the immunity challenge wins, obviously comes reward, and you get to decide who goes on reward. For you, was there strategy in who went with you? Because I don't know why I feel this way necessarily, but I was kind of shocked that both times you took Eva.
I just did not want to take Kyle or Joe. Like, I didn't want to take anyone who was performing well or was like keeping me, like pushing me in those challenges. I needed people, I could not fuel those guys anymore because I wanted more challenge wins. I wanted the competitors to like be unfed, which is why I kept going with, no offense to Mitch and Eva, but like in the challenges that I was doing well at, they weren't doing as well as Kyle and Joe in the challenges and
No,
Shaheen.
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's good to know. Something that I have been wondering since the episode of the final six where Shaheen gets voted out. So you and Kyle kind of orchestrate this beautiful blindside that ends up happening. You're able to kind of swoon over Joe and Eva. But when they reveal the votes after you voted out Mitch instead of Shaheen, can you explain what in the world was happening with that?
Yeah, so that was Eva was terrified of the idol, and she was like, "Well, if Shaheen plays the idol, then I play my idol. What if there's like a stray vote that comes towards one of her people? Can you write down Mitch's name?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I can write down Mitch's name. I'm scared too. I don't want a stray vote coming my way." So that was just me, so that when we got back to camp, I'd be like, I genuinely thought that he had an idol, and so that was me covering my butt, even though I knew the guy didn't have an idol.
Okay, that's kind of what I maybe guessed, and I was kind of hoping maybe there would be some clarity to that in editing, and then there wasn't. So I was like, now I'm just confused. So, as I mentioned earlier, you were unfortunately taken out in the infamous fire making challenge. You kind of caught a spark, but beyond that, not really. Even kind of blew you out of the water, which was so devastating to see. So, kind of walk me through that moment, the prep work going into it, the fire making, and then losing, and kind of realizing like, okay, this is done, and this is how I'm going out.
Yeah. So prep work, people are like, this woman never practiced fire making in her life. I did, but I spent more time in the gym. And if I spent any less time in the gym and more time on fire, then I wouldn't have made it to the jury. We Vula wouldn't be the disaster tribe. We would have been the disaster tribe. And I did practice, when they gave us the knife and the flint, but like my hands started getting tired, and I'm like, if I keep practicing with tired hands, I'm gonna cut a finger open. So I stopped at some point. While fire making was happening, there was a bit of new Kamilla and old Kamilla. New Kamilla was like, we've seen comebacks in fire making all the time. I'm just going to keep going at it. But old Kamilla was like, all she could hear was Joe and Kyle encouraging Eva. And on the other side, she could hear whispers from the jury. I could not make out those whispers, but my brain was telling me they're all like, this woman's never made fire in her life. How did she come out to Survivor without ever practicing for fire? She's the worst player ever. And so that really got to me.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, fire making is just so hard. Like I was thinking about last night if I was in your shoes, and I was like, I think I would be so terrified of fire making if I was out there, because like nobody wants to really have to go through with that. So, um
Yeah.
something that I think a lot of the fan base was talking about throughout the season, and I'm sure you've seen it, is the people on the bottom, which did include you. They seemed kind of frustrated that you all didn't kind of band together and make a move, maybe earlier on to get out some of these bigger targets. So looking back now and knowing how it all ended for you, do you wish that you had maybe made a big move or done anything differently to better set yourself up? Or do you feel like the way you did it was your best plan?
I think what I did was the best thing. Like the only thing I could change is like, hey, if I won some motion, that would have been good. But honestly, at that point, it's like, if I put Kyle and Joe in fire, what if Joe loses? Then I'm still at the same book. Like it's still as if I made fire. But with the making a move thing, y'all didn't see this, but Star was very untrustworthy. Like I would tell her things that weren't like actual real information. And then somehow Joe and Eva would know what I told Star. And so I knew that she genuinely believed she was working with Joe and Eva. She was not going to make a move with us. She might make one move with us and then go back to them. Same thing with Mary. She's never had a steady alliance this entire game. She would cling on to whatever people offered her. And so even if she made the move with Mitch and I, the next vote, Joe and Eve would be like, all right, Mitch, Kamilla, you're dead. Mary, come back to us. And Mary would go back to them. So I think like even if we made the move, the next tribal council, then I would be the one sent home instead.
Yeah, this is why context is so good because I'm like, I don't think I would have gotten to that point on my own. So I'm happy that you just shared that. Now, speaking of Star, something she said in the kind of after show, if you will, was that had you made it to final three, you would have blown it out of the water and maybe even been a unanimous winner. How did you feel about her saying that?
The biggest compliment in the world. And honestly, I didn't even hear it in the moment. When Jeff had asked the question, like, who here would have voted for Kamilla, my head immediately went into my hand and I was like, he only he only asks this about one person each season. That means I was really close. And I didn't see anything, I couldn't hear anything. But now watching it back, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Now, briefly backtracking, and you kind of mentioned this too in the finale. Even though you did lose Fire, that was the way you went out, and received no votes all season. So, had you made it to final three, you would have had no votes against you. What did that mean to you? Because I do think that speaks to your game, in a way of its own.
Yeah, I mean, I was considered a threat early on in the merge. People wanted to send me home. David and Mary really wanted to send me home. How did I bounce back from being one of like very close to being sent home to having no one written my name down? Like, I think that's pretty impressive.
I would very much agree with you. Okay, Kamilla, final question. If Jet picks up the phone and it's like, Kamilla, we want you back. Come back to the island. Would you do it again?
Yes, 100%. Please call me, Jeff. Please, 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 please.
She's ready. She's like, bags are packed. Let's go. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Kamilla, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. This has been so much fun and a true pleasure. Congrats on all your success this season and best of luck in whatever's next for you.
Thank you so much, Blake.